A 6-year-old boy is nailed to a wall. He is begging for his life. His brother, 8 years old, is nailed to the same wall. He is not begging. He is screaming that he will kill every single one of them. Same wall, same nails, same mob, same parents, same starvation, same fall from heaven. So why did one of them grow up to die saving a child he barely knew, and the other grow up to be the man who pulled the trigger? Why did the same fire that purified one brother destroy the other? Why does Oda give the villain a brother who survived the exact same trauma and turned out kind? Why does the most loyal man in One Piece execute the one person he genuinely loved and feel no guilt? And why, after everything Doflamingo did, every nation he broke, every person he erased from existence, does he still feel like the most human monster Oda ever wrote? This is the story of the man who chose this. Now, most people will tell you Doflamingo is evil because of what happened to him. They're not wrong, but they're not telling you the whole story either, because the whole story has a brother in it, and the brother changes everything. Every villain analysis of Doflamingo starts and ends in the same place. His backstory is devastating, his philosophy is compelling, his devil fruit is a perfect metaphor. He is the greatest One Piece villain. All of that is true, and none of it is the most interesting thing about him. The most interesting thing about Don Quixote Doflamingo is that his brother exists, because Rosinante breaks the most common excuse we make for villains. The trauma explains everything. The pain made him this way. He had no choice. Rosinante obliterates that argument quietly, without fanfare, just by existing and by being who he was. Oda didn't give Doflamingo a tragic backstory to make you sympathize with him. He gave Doflamingo a brother to make sure you couldn't. Same inputs, opposite outputs. That gap is not circumstance, it is character. Doflamingo was born a celestial dragon. In the world of One Piece, that is not a metaphor. That is a literal classification. Born into absolute privilege, slaves, obedience, the right to kill commoners without consequence. This was not an exception to his world. This was the world. Then his father, Don Quixote Homing, did something extraordinary. He chose to be human. He renounced the family's world noble status out of genuine moral conviction. He believed his family could live among ordinary people with dignity. He moved his wife and 2 young sons, 8-year-old Doflamingo and 6-year-old Rosinante, to a northern country. What followed was a catastrophe. The family's former status was discovered. Citizens who had endured centuries of celestial dragon abuse poured their rage onto the family. People who had voluntarily given up the very power those citizens hated. Their mansion was burned. They were driven into a shack on a garbage heap. Doflamingo's mother died of illness in the squalor. And then came the crucifixion, not metaphorical. An angry mob tracked them down, nailed them to a wall, beat them and tortured them. Homing begged for mercy. Rosinante begged for mercy. Doflamingo did not. He screamed that he would kill every single one of them. His own father was horrified. The mob was horrified. His 6-year-old brother was horrified. Here is what Oda is doing in this scene that most people miss. He is not showing you the birth of a monster. He is showing you the birth of a decision. An 8-year-old child raised to believe he is a god, stripped of everything, watching his mother die, being tortured by people who hate him for a crime he did not commit. His father's goodness, his genuine, earnest moral goodness, is what caused all of this. The kindness killed them. The compassion destroyed everything. A child can only absorb 2 lessons from that wall. Either the world is cruel and I will survive it, or the world is cruel and I will become it. Doflamingo chose the second. But here is what the story does not let you forget. Rosinante was on the same wall. After the crucifixion, Doflamingo's father attempted to contact the celestial dragons one final time to beg them to at least save his children. They refused. The family of traitors was cut off forever. At age 10, Doflamingo obtained a gun and shot his own father in the head, not in a rage spiral, with deliberate intent. His brother Rosinante, 6 years old and already traumatized, watched and wept. That was the last time they were together as children. What Doflamingo built over the next 2 decades is a direct architectural response to the crucifixion. Every single piece of his empire maps back to that wall. He was powerless on that wall. Now he controls people's bodies with strings. He was trapped by people who hated him. Now he traps entire nations inside inescapable cages. He was helpless while his family was destroyed. Now love in his world means possession, because possession is the only form of protection he understands. The birdcage is not a battle tactic. It is a psychological structure. It is the answer a child gives when he was once caught and could not escape. I will become the thing that traps. I will never be caught again. Dressrosa is the masterwork. Doflamingo did not simply conquer it. He replaced its reality. He used Sugar's Hobie Hobie Know Me to erase people from collective memory. Warriors who resisted him were turned into toys, and everyone who ever knew them simply forgot they existed. Children forgot their parents. Wives forgot their husbands. Then he framed King Riku, using his parasite strings to force a beloved monarch to slaughter his own citizens, and stepped in as the hero who saved the nation. The people were grateful he took it. He did not build a kingdom on fear. He built one on a lie so total that even the victims did not know they were victims. This is Oda's most devastating line of argument about power. Dressrosa under Doflamingo is not so different from the rest of the One Piece world under the Celestial Dragons. Mary Jawaz is Dressrosa at scale. The world government erased the Void Century. The boy who was cast out of heaven rebuilt heaven on earth. His version, where he is the god and the suffering is hidden behind a curtain of erased memory. He hates the celestial dragons who rejected him. His response was to become exactly what they are, but better at it. The Rosinante endured every single thing his brother did. Same parents, same fall from grace, same starvation, same crucifixion, same wall, same nails, same mob, and he grew up to be kind. Rosinante disappeared from Doflamingo's life after his brother shot their father. He returned 14 years later, silently, undercover, as a marine spy infiltrating the Don Quixote pirates from within. His mission was not duty in the abstract, it was singular: stop his brother, out of love for what his brother still could have been. Along the way he found Trafalgar Law, a dying child recruited by Doflamingo, and made a choice. He stole the Ope Ope no Mi. He traveled across the North Blue with a sick boy who hated him. He was rejected, kicked, bitten. He kept going. He found a cure. He fed Law the fruit at the cost of his own devil fruit ability. And then he used that ability one final time. His silence protecting the hiding child from being discovered. While his brother shot him, Rosinante died to save a child he had known for less than a year, a child who had spent most of that time trying to get away from him. This is Oda at his most precise, because Rosinante is not a contrast to Doflamingo. He is a controlled experiment. Same variables, same trauma, same starting point, different choice. If Rosinante can emerge from that crucifixion and choose sacrifice, then Doflamingo's evil is not purely the product of circumstance. It is, at least in part, a decision. The trauma explains the anger. It does not explain the empire. It explains why he was broken. It does not explain every person he broke afterward. Oda knows that. He never lets you settle into comfortable pity. Every time the backstory threatens to make you sympathize with young Doflamingo, the story cuts forward and shows you what he did with that pain. Here is what makes Minion Island so much harder to watch than any other death in One Piece. Doflamingo loved Rosinante. The manga does not let you doubt this. He called him his precious little brother. He warned every member of his crew that if anyone harmed a hair on Corazon's head, he would kill them personally. When he noticed a wound on Rosinante, he was visibly concerned. The care was real. And then Virgo reported the betrayal, and Doflamingo went to Minion Island, and when he found his brother, not in a rage, not in the heat of a fight, but standing over a hiding child, he pulled the trigger multiple times, coldly. He did not stop loving him when he killed him. That is the thing that is almost impossible to sit with. After the shots, Doflamingo expressed contempt. not for himself but for Rosinante, for forcing him to commit family killing a second time, a sense that Rosinante had made him do this, that love and murder could coexist because Rosinante had violated the code. In Doflamingo's moral framework, betrayal is the one unforgivable sin. He had built his entire world around a crew, a family, that would never leave, never betray, never violate the bond, because he had already lost everything once and built this to make sure it could never happen again. And Rosinante, the one person in the world Doflamingo genuinely loved, had been feeding information to the Marines for years, had chosen another loyalty, had chosen a dying child over his brother. In Doflamingo's world, love is not a liberation, it is another form of possession, and possession requires absolute loyalty, or it means nothing at all. A villain who feels nothing is tragic. A villain who feels everything and still chooses this, that is terrifying. And Oda's answer across the entirety of Dressrosa is unambiguous. A man who loves and still chooses cruelty is worse than a man who feels nothing at all. The verdict, the full thesis, stated. So here is what Doflamingo actually is, and why no other villain in One Piece comes close. He is not evil because he is broken, he is evil because he is whole. He has a philosophy, not a motivation, a philosophy that is internally consistent, partially correct, and arrived at through genuine experience. The Marineford speech is not the raving of a lunatic. It is the conclusion of a man who has seen both sides of the world's lie and decided the only rational response is to become the biggest monster in the room. Those who stand at the top determine what is right. Whoever wins becomes justice. He is not wrong about the diagnosis. The world government does rewrite history. The celestial dragons do define morality. Power does precede principle in this world. Doflamingo looked at that fact clearly and decided, then I will have the power. The difference between Doflamingo and Dragon is the step from observation to rationalization. Dragon sees the same broken world. He tries to fix it. Doflamingo sees the same broken world. He decides to own it. And here is his devil fruit, which Oda designed as his thesis made flesh, the Ito Ito no Mi, strings. He literally controls people like puppets. The character whose entire identity is domination, manipulation, and the erasure of other people's free will is given the physical power to override their bodies. This is the visual thesis of the character, a man who does not want to rule the world, a man who wants to be the world. Go back to the rain on Minion Island. Rosinante is lying there. He has already lost. He knows it. He used the last of his silence to hide Law's cries. The boy is safe. Rosinante is not. He does not beg. He does not fight. He looks at his brother and he does not flinch. And Doflamingo, the man who was tortured on the same wall, who swore as an 8-year-old child that he would kill every single one of them, who built an empire from that vow, pulls the trigger. He was not forced to. Nobody made him. He chose it. That is what separates this from every other villain backstory in shonen manga. The backstory is not an explanation. It is not an excuse. It is a starting point. And what Doflamingo chose to do from that starting point is entirely, completely, irreducibly his. Rosinante is the proof, and Rosinante chose differently. Every day for his entire life he chose differently, and he died for it quietly, hiding a child nobody else was going to save. The distance between them is not circumstance. It was never circumstance. It is the most human thing in One Piece, the gap between what you were given and what you decided to become. One Piece is a story about freedom. That is its thesis, its North Star. Luffy will free the world. We believe this, we root for this, but Doflamingo asks a question the story has never fully answered. What about the people freedom does not save? Homing chose freedom, freedom from Mary Jawaz, freedom to live as a human being, and freedom killed his wife. Freedom got his children crucified. Freedom got him shot in the head by his own 10-year-old son. Doflamingo looked at what freedom did to his father and decided that freedom is a lie the powerful tell the weak to keep them compliant. And then he spent 30 years proving it. he is wrong. The story says he is wrong. Luffy's fist says he is wrong. But the fact that you have to think about it, the fact that the villain's argument requires a fist the size of a building to answer because logic alone cannot quite get there, that is what makes him Oda's masterpiece. Not the greatest villain in One Piece because of his power or his design or even his backstory. The greatest villain in One Piece because he could have been Rosinante and he chose not to.